下来我们请托伦斯市议员陈光豪先生。
Next, let's welcome Torrance Council Member Mr. George Chen.
Good morning. 大家早，我也用一些国语，我的国语不太好，可是我可以 try. Maybe 我用一些 Chinglish， 英文和中文都mix up. I'm very happy that I could join you on your closing of the academic Chinese school year. And I think just probably a month and a half ago, we were just here celebrating the opening of the Taiwan's School for Mandarin Learning here. So another congratulations, a major accomplishment. I believe there's only a few in the country that has a label of Taiwan Center for Mandarin Learning. So I just want to congratulate the Torrance Chinese School that honor and privilege. I think one of the things I think about coming here to celebrate with you is it brings back the past. So if you heard this before, forgive me, if you haven't heard this before, it will be news. I'm a first-generation immigrant from Taiwan. So I am born there, and we immigrated here, and I started first grade. My academic background is from the LA Unified School District. Back when we first came to the United States, my recollection, there was only one Chinese school to learn Mandarin. It was in the elementary school in Chinatown called Castelar. I believe the elementary school is still there. And my mother had to shuttle my older sister, my older brother, and myself to Chinatown Saturday mornings. Can you imagine that? You know, I think you're very fortunate that you can have a neighborhood Chinese school that you don't have to drive almost 25 miles one way. Now, for me, growing up in the United States, I have a love for sports. So on Saturdays is the major day to play around sports activity. So can you imagine the struggle Saturday mornings? Do I go to Chinese school or do I go play with my friends? Needless to say, I'm using English with you today, is that I was not a very good Chinese school student. And I got really into sports. So as Dr. Crumpy was saying about biliteracy, I had to think about what does she mean, biliteracy? I grew up, people say, oh, George, you are bilingual. So I'm trying to think, without asking her to interpret, I'm thinking biliteracy is a little bit more than bilingual. Many people will say, I'm bilingual. 因为我也会说国语，我也会说英文，那我就是 bilingual. But maybe biliteracy is when somebody sends me an email and it's all in Chinese, I take my phone and I hand it to my wife, Amy, because she came here in high school from Taiwan, so she could read or write. So I would say she's biliterate and I'm bilingual. Am I close? There's a little distinction there. So, you know, I just use deduction to try to figure out what that means. So the students here, first of all, I would encourage you, as you know, in the international community, the Mandarin language is, you know, the Chinese are arguably 1/5 of the population of the world, if you will. I don't know what the latest detail is. So being biliterate in Mandarin is only an advantage you can have. So I am a personal testimony to you to keep on learning, to be more than bilingual, to be biliterate if possible. And maybe if the opportunity comes in the future, in the Torrance Unified School District, there may be an opportunity for an immersion program that includes Mandarin learning. You know, I heard there's the Spanish, and maybe that's an opportunity. So as there's a population demand gets higher, that may be an opportunity. I know I just put Dr. Crumpy on the spot there, but it's just a thought that came in my mind as she was talking about that I believe we call it dual immersion or immersion program. So for the parents here, I just want to thank you for your dedication. And sometimes you have to almost force your kids to go to Chinese school. And You can tell when I grew up, I don't play any music instrument. But I'm using the example because a lot of times you actually force your students not only to learn Chinese, but I'm going to guess maybe 70% of you students here are also forced to take some kind of music lesson. So that's good on you because your everyday schedule is pretty tight. So now I'm going to just go I'm going to do a very abbreviated in Chinese. 各位谢谢你们请我来这里，我的国语说的不太好，因为我从小来美国是在这里上1年级。我的 testimony 就是我小的时候去国语学校，我也不是很好的学生，因为我喜欢打球，所以到星期六早上我妈妈带我们去 Chinatown 去国语学校，我想可以去 Chinatown 学习国语，或是在马路外面跟朋友打球。So most of the time 在外面跟朋友在打球 I'll usually win， 所以现在我只会说一点点国语，可是也不会写不会看，我都需要 ask 我的 wife Amy to interpret for me. But I would say keep up the good work. You know, Chinese is a very difficult language because you cannot spell it if you don't know the word. It's almost like a pictograph. It's like a picture language. So I admire your diligence to learn this language. It's much easier to learn when you're younger than when you're old like me. So thank you very much. Thank you for all the parents for staying the course. Sometimes the students don't realize how fortunate you are to have the opportunity to learn another language. Take advantage of it and study well so that when you grow up, you're standing up here, you will be biliterate as opposed to just bilingual. 谢谢。